There were just 3 weeks left before I was supposed to marry Valerie. Her gown had been custom fitted, the venue locked in, the menu signed off. Each floral detail and centerpiece had been carefully curated, straight from her Pinterest boards. I'd just sent the final wire to pay the band. She kept saying she wanted the reception to feel refined, graceful, but still like a wild celebration. However, that contradiction made sense to her. She was already on my health plan. We'd casually started throwing around baby names, Luke if it was a boy, Eliza for a girl. It all felt settled, solid. And then everything came apart because of a single text. It was from Kendra. Don't marry her. Just that. 3 words, no punctuation, no explanation. Kendra and I weren't friends, not even close. She was part of Valerie's past from college, the kind of person who always seemed to know things no one dared say aloud. We'd run into each other a few times, barbecues, group hangouts, casual drinks. I always thought she was sharp, a bit sarcastic, completely unfiltered, too blunt for someone like Valerie. I typed back, "What are you talking about?" Her answer came instantly, not over text. "Meet me. Old Pine Park, 3 p.m., no emojis, no pleasantries, just a time and place." I arrived early, 20 minutes before the meeting. The park was nearly empty. The sky hung heavy with clouds, wind stirring dry leaves into little chaotic spirals. I sat alone on a bench, watching squirrels argue over scraps, already feeling like I was walking into the kind of story you only hear about. Then she appeared, hoodie, jeans, no makeup, no effort to impress. She noticed me before I even stood. "Hey," she said, flat, measured, without a smile. "Hey," I returned. She didn't bother sitting. Just pulled out her phone, tapped quickly, and held it out to me. No explanation, none needed. The screen brightened between us, showing a photo. Valerie, my bride-to-be, wearing a bride-to-be sash, lounging on a club sofa. She was locked in a kiss with a shirtless guy wearing a cop costume, her fingers tangled in his hair, his hand vanishing under her dress, her bare leg exposed, underwear unmistakable. My throat tightened. "That was 2 nights ago," Kendra said, her voice even, detached, like she was tired of finding softer words. She flicked to the next image. Valerie, grinding on the guy's lap, head thrown back, eyes closed in bliss. Another swipe. Valerie again, laughing, barefoot, mascara streaked, clutching a stiletto in one hand and a liquor bottle in the other. "She left with him," Kendra added. I didn't respond, just stared at the photos, as if staring hard enough might make them transform into something else. Valerie had insisted we hold the bachelor and bachelorette parties early, weeks before the wedding. Said she didn't want to be bloated or exhausted in the photos. "I want to detox and glow," she'd laughed. I remember thinking it was cute. I handed Kendra her phone, took a breath through my nose, slow and deliberate. My jaw locked so tightly, it felt like someone else's face. Kendra looked down at the ground. She asked everyone to stay quiet about it, called it her last night of freedom, said she'd earned it. Her voice held no bitterness, no heat. Just a tired kind of disappointment, like she'd grieved it all already before ever reaching out. "Why are you showing me this?" I finally asked. She didn't flinch. "Because you deserve to know who you're marrying." I looked past her, through the trees, into the gray distance. I nodded once. That was it. No shouting, no fight, just something splintering deep inside, silent and absolute. I went home without a word. Valerie was on a late shift. I didn't wait. I packed. Not everything. Just what I needed. My laptop, passport, a few days' clothes. I left the engagement photos on the fridge, still stuck there like a cruel joke. I grabbed the backup drive and walked out, left the rest. By the time she got home, I was already gone. I didn't block her. I wanted her to be unsure. That first day, her messages were soft. "Where are you? Are you all right?" "I'm scared." The next day, her tone changed. tension creeping in. "You're freaking me out. If something's wrong, let's talk. Please." I held the silence. On the third day, I gave in. Turned my phone on in a cheap motel a few towns over. It rang within minutes. "Finally," she breathed. Her voice cracked. "Where are you? What is going on?" "You're already aware of what's unfolding." A long pause stretched between us. I could hear her breathing faintly through the phone. "I don't." "I saw the pictures." Silence. "You left with the dancer from the club. It's not what you think. Please, stop. I've seen enough. I didn't sleep with him. Do you really think I'm that naive? I was drunk. I wasn't thinking clearly. It was a one-time thing. That's all. And you weren't going to say anything about it, were you? You were just going to breeze through the wedding, recite your vows like they meant something, and act like none of this ever happened." I didn't want it to go this far. But it did. Her voice cracked. "Please, let me explain. Not like this. I need to see you. Let's talk face to face. I have nothing more to hear." I ended the call. She called me 20 more times. I ignored every single one. Then came the voicemails, some filled with sobs, others laced with anger, a few almost unintelligible. I listened to them all. Not because I still cared. I wanted to peel away every falsehood she'd ever told. Then came the guilt. The texts came flooding in. "I'm losing my mind. You're the only one who can help me feel sane again." They came steadily at first, then every few minutes, non-stop. Eventually, she switched to voicemails, thinking hearing her voice would change my resolve. When that didn't work, she tried appealing to pity. "People are asking questions. You have no idea how humiliating this is. I messed up once. Just once. And now, you're ready to throw everything away. You're treating me like I'm a monster. Like betrayal is something you can just measure and dismiss." Then the messages grew darker. Some were vague enough to raise concerns. "I don't know what I'll do if you keep ignoring me. I can't handle this alone." I kept every one of them, every message, every voicemail. I didn't respond. I just kept a record. Then, nothing. It was as if she had finally run out of things to say. Or perhaps she was preparing something worse. 3 days later, I walked into the office just like any other day. Coffee in hand, my mind on autopilot, tuning out the receptionist's morning chatter. I rounded the corner toward the elevators and froze. It wasn't Valerie. It was her mother. She sat perfectly still in the waiting area. Not a hair out of place, wearing a coat worth more than most people's monthly salary, holding a purse that probably cost more than my entire rent. She didn't belong in this setting. She looked like she should be at a charity gala, not waiting in an office lobby. Her eyes locked onto mine. No smile. "Can we speak in private?" she asked. I didn't answer. I simply turned and led her down the back corridor, toward the loading area. Bare concrete, humming lights, no one else around. She followed without a word. We stopped near the freight elevator. She remained standing, rigid, poised, never shifting her weight or posture. "Valerie's falling apart," she said. I didn't respond. "She's stopped eating. She doesn't sleep. She cries all the time." I waited. "She made a mistake." "No," I replied. "She made a choice. And then she lied about it. She didn't sleep with him." I don't believe her anymore. She was drunk. It was a lapse in judgment. Just one night. It was one night she made sure I would never find out about. Her jaw tightened. Her voice became sharper. "Maybe if you'd been a more attentive fiancé, she wouldn't have done something so reckless." It stung, but I kept my composure. "So now it's my fault?" "I'm just saying maybe she felt neglected. Maybe she felt like you were distant. You think I'm cold, detached. She always said that about you." I let out a bitter, dry laugh. She planned every single detail of that wedding, from the menu to the napkin rings. I just followed her lead every step of the way. If I seemed distant, it was because I thought I was with someone I could trust. "You two were perfect," she snapped. "No," I said. She was perfect until I found out who she truly was. The woman glanced around as if the air itself was too heavy to breathe. So that's it? You're just going to walk away? From her? From everything? There's nothing left to walk away from. Her mouth tightened into a hard line. You're making a mistake, she said coldly, and when she moves on, don't expect her to look back. I gave a small nod. Goodbye, ma'am. Then I turned and walked away, never once looking back. I blocked her number, but that wasn't the end. 2 days later, her father appeared. He didn't make any effort to ask if he could come in. He just stood there in the parking lot of the motel, absorbed in his phone, leaning casually against a silver BMW. I stepped outside for a cigarette and immediately saw him. As soon as he noticed me, he tucked his phone away. You're hard to reach, he commented. I took a long drag from my cigarette, keeping quiet. We need to talk, he continued. I don't think we do, I replied. He closed the gap between us. You embarrassed her. You've tarnished the family's name. Everyone's talking about it, he said, his voice growing more intense. She did all that by herself, I countered. His expression turned dark. We've already spent over 30 grand. Venue, catering, flowers, dress, photographer. Do you even realize the mess you've caused? I know exactly what's going on, I responded, my voice calm. She cheats, and somehow I'm the one who owes you money? You walked away from a promise, he insisted. Then show me the contract, I shot back. His jaw tightened. I always knew something was off about you, he muttered. Too quiet, too observant. My wife used to say you had those cold, calculating eyes. Looks like she was right, he added. Cold eyes? I repeated with a chuckle. Charming. She's still willing to forgive you, you know, he offered. How generous of her, I said, my tone flat. He moved closer, the tension between us rising. Look, son, I don't care how hurt your pride is. You either fix this, or you'll be paying back every cent in court. I flicked my cigarette toward his shoes. Go ahead, try me. The next morning, Valerie came around. But she didn't just show up unannounced. She texted first, said she'd be outside, needed just 5 minutes. I peeked through the blinds. There she was, sitting in her white Lexus, her hands gripping the steering wheel like she was about to snap it in half. I'm still not sure why I went down there. Maybe I wanted to see what she looked like when the facade started to crumble. I slid into the passenger seat. You look terrible, I remarked. She gave a hollow, brittle laugh. So do you. We sat in silence for a few moments. Her eyeliner was smudged, but she'd clearly made an effort to look put together. Her lipstick was too bold, like she still thought this was some kind of date. I miss you, she said softly. No, I replied. You miss being in control. She turned to face me, her eyes searching, like she was looking for the person I once was. Then she leaned in, speaking in a barely audible whisper. Look, if it'll make things right, you can sleep with someone. I blinked. What? I'm serious, she said, her voice low but insistent. Just once. Anyone you want. I won't be angry. We're still engaged. That should count for something. I don't want this to be how it ends. You think this is about revenge? I think it's about fairness, she replied carefully. You should get something too after everything. I stared at her, no anger, no emotion, just stillness. You really think letting me sleep with someone makes up for what you did? I think it's an olive branch, she said, her voice trembling. No, I replied coldly. It's desperation. Her face twisted in frustration. I'm trying, okay? I'm doing everything I can. To fix your image, I said. Not who you are. Don't start that, she snapped. Don't act like I never cheated on you. You're making me out to be a monster. No, I said, leaning in, locking my eyes with hers. I'm speaking as a man who watched his fiancée kiss a dancer in front of all her friends and then tried to make it okay with a get-out-of-jail-free card. That's not love. That's broken, I added. Something in her snapped. She slapped my shoulder, not hard, but enough to make a point. Then, in a burst of emotion, her palm hit my chest. "I hate you," she screamed, then shoved me with enough force to rattle the door behind me. "You're cold as ice," she hissed. "You don't feel anything." I met her gaze, unshaken. "No, I just finally see who you really are." I opened the door and stepped out. "Don't walk away again," she yelled. "You're not done with me." I glanced back once, my voice steady. "You offered me a hall pass like it was a discount," I said. "That tells me everything I need to know." And with that, I walked away. For good. But Valerie didn't just fade into the background after that. If anything, she ramped things up. Instead of just texting, she started sending voice messages, like the sound of her breaking would be enough to pull me back. Always crying, always repeating the same desperate lines. "Please talk to me. I can't eat. I can't sleep." I told her I'd do whatever she asked. The following day, she showed up at my workplace. There she was, standing on the sidewalk, like a scene ripped from a classic noir film. Trench coat, dark sunglasses, arms crossed tightly against her body. I paused, seeing her, and then stepped toward her. "If you come any closer," I warned, "I'll call the police." Her lips parted in disbelief. "You'd really do that to me?" "Try me," I said, my tone firm. Without another word, I turned and walked inside, not looking back. She didn't budge. She stood there, watching me. Later that evening, I booked a consultation with a lawyer. By morning, I was sitting across from one in a quiet office on the second floor of a building above a tile store. He was middle-aged, straightforward, his sleeves rolled up and his gaze sharp. He scrolled through each message on my phone slowly, his eyes scanning with precision. "This is more than enough," he said after a while. "She's been contacting you repeatedly, showing up uninvited. This isn't a coincidence. It's a pattern." "She's not dangerous," I answered. "She's just falling apart." "That's enough," he cut me off. "You don't have to wait for things to get worse. She's already crossed the line." He tapped his pen against the screen. "Showing up at your workplace? That's a boundary violation." I sank back in the chair. She used to be methodical. Now it feels like she's just setting fire to everything and trying to drag me into the flames. "Breakups don't destroy people," he remarked. "They reveal what was already broken." He swiftly prepared the paperwork, explaining each section as he went. "This won't solve her emotional issues," he said, signing the final page, "but it will put up a barrier between her and you." 3 days later, a court officer personally delivered the restraining order to her. No more contact, no phone calls, no texts, no showing up at places I frequent. I assumed that would put an end to things. I was wrong. I was in the office kitchen, getting a coffee, when I heard the receptionist call down the hall. "She says she's your fiancée?" I stepped into the lobby. There she was, Valerie, in a black blazer, heels, and red lipstick, looking like she was preparing for a battle. Her expression was tense, her chest rising and falling with each breath, a stack of papers gripped tightly in her hand. The moment she saw me, she charged forward and threw the papers at me. They hit my chest and fell to the floor in a disordered heap. "You want a war?" she hissed. "Fine, here it is." I looked down at the papers. Monroe v. My name. Civil lawsuit. $2,800. The same expenses she'd mentioned before, now formally filed. "They're suing me?" I asked. "No," she snapped. "We're suing you. You don't just vanish and leave me to pick up the pieces." "You're the one who made the mess," I replied quietly. "I made one mistake," she shot back. "You made 10 after it." She stepped closer. "You think walking away makes you some kind of hero?" she challenged. "No," I responded. I think you're putting on an act, and it's not convincing. Her jaw clenched. Her eyes burned, not with sadness, but with fury. My family's respected. I'm respected. And you think you can disappear and leave us looking like fools? I crouched down, picked up the papers, and handed them back to her. You're doing a great job of that all on your own. She slapped them out of my hands again. I swear, if you don't fix this— What? I interrupted. You'll cry louder, send more threats, claim emotional damage again? She glanced around. People were staring, a few maybe even recording. She lowered her voice. This doesn't have to escalate. I smiled. It already ended. I turned and walked away. This time she didn't follow. Later that afternoon, I dropped the wrinkled lawsuit papers onto my lawyer's desk. She brought it herself, I said, right in front of everyone. He flipped through the papers with calm precision. Venue deposit, catering, flowers, he read aloud. Hair and makeup, photographer, dress, it's all fluff. No signed contracts? I asked. No prenup, no agreements, nothing that assigns financial responsibility? He shook his head. Her claim for emotional damages won't even make it past a judge's first glance. You owe her nothing. Good, I sighed, leaning back in my chair. He turned to the last page. And here's the kicker. She's claiming emotional harm from being abandoned during a committed engagement contract. I raised an eyebrow. They actually put that in writing? He nodded once. They're hoping you'll fold, that you'll settle to avoid a scandal or gossip. They don't know who they're dealing with. That night, I posted a quiet, subtle update online. The wedding is canceled. There won't be another one. Please understand that I need some time alone. Barely 10 minutes passed before a message appeared from Valerie's sister. Her voice was sharp, filled with venom. You're destroying her. Do you even realize that? She hasn't been eating. She can't sleep. She's on the verge of breaking down, and you're just standing by, letting her fall apart. I didn't respond. I didn't even save the message. Later that day, my phone rang again, an unknown number. The voicemail was from her. Her voice was shaking. I'm going to the bridge. If you don't come, this will be on you. I drove like I was chasing redemption. My heart didn't race. I wasn't afraid for her. Whatever came next, I was prepared for it. If this was the end for her, then the line had to be drawn here. I couldn't let it go further. The rain fell in icy shards when I arrived. She was standing there, arms spread wide, drenched in that ridiculous white trench coat she always claimed was timeless. Don't do this, I called out, walking faster. She turned slowly. Her mascara had smeared into dark lines. Wet strands of hair stuck to her face. A small smile curled on her lips, too soft, too knowing. I knew you'd come. You don't scare me, I told her. I scare myself, she whispered, her voice fragile. I stepped closer, my hands tucked into my jacket. No fear, no hesitation, not this time. You don't really want to jump, do you, Valerie? She tilted her head, intrigued. What makes you think that? She asked. Because you put on makeup, I said. She blinked, taken aback. What? If you were serious, your appearance wouldn't matter. You're not here to end things. You're here hoping I'll come after you, cry for you, beg you to stay. I paused. Nothing. No response. You don't want to die, I said. You want to feel like you matter more than the mess you've caused. She didn't answer. I want you to see what you've done to me, I said, quieter now. No, she replied. I want you to face what you did to us. She exhaled a shaky breath. You could forgive me, she whispered. People survive worse. I'm not just anyone, I replied. Her breath hitched. Please don't leave me like this. You already did, I answered, my voice steady. You crossed every line. You lied, dragged others into your lies. Is that really who you are? She slapped me, hard, her hand heavy with rain. I didn't flinch. I turned and walked away. This time I didn't look back. She stayed right where she was. She never jumped. The courtroom was quiet, almost suffocating. Though it wasn't crowded, the tension was palpable. Her parents sat motionless at the plaintiff's table. Her mother was all pearls and perfect posture. Her father sat upright in his crisp suit, confident and composed, until the facts hit him. Valerie wasn't there, of course. She had sent her parents to handle things while she hid behind the scenes. The hearing moved swiftly in the beginning. Their attorney stood and presented the case with cold precision. My clients made a significant investment in a marriage that the defendant ended without warning, causing not only financial loss, but severe emotional distress. My lawyer stood up. "Your Honor, may I address the court directly?" The judge nodded. "Proceed." My attorney moved forward, calm and methodical. "Let's be clear about why this wedding didn't happen. Not in generalities, but in specifics." He slammed a large binder onto the table. Pages filled with text messages and screenshots spilled open. These are communications between Miss Valerie Monroe and various friends, both before and after her bachelorette weekend. He pulled out a sealed bag from his briefcase. Inside was a delicate pair of white lace panties, neatly labeled and catalogued. The judge raised an eyebrow. A murmur spread through the courtroom. "These were recovered from a man named Mitchell Baird," my lawyer continued. "He performed at Miss Monroe's bachelorette party. He left town afterward but was recently found and interviewed." Flipping to another page in the binder, he went on. He gave a sworn statement. According to him, Miss Monroe left the party with him, spent the night at his home, and left behind these items. Gasps rippled through the room. A murmur of disbelief filled the air. The judge leaned forward, adjusting his glasses. "So you're presenting this as first-hand testimony?" the judge asked. "Yes, Your Honor." He also quoted Miss Monroe saying, "It's my last night of freedom. Might as well make the most of it." Her mother made a soft, strangled sound of embarrassment. Her father's hand clenched into a tight fist against the grain of the wooden table. "Is the plaintiff disputing any aspect of this?" the judge asked, his voice slicing through the still courtroom. Their attorney fumbled for words. "Your Honor, my clients weren't informed about the full situation." "That's your defense?" the judge replied, his tone sharp with disbelief. "Unaware." Holding the evidence bag delicately between two fingers, he seemed repulsed by the need to touch it. "This isn't how people get ready for a marriage. This isn't trauma. It's manipulation." Then his glare landed on her parents. "You should consider yourselves lucky I'm not pressing further," he said, his voice cold. He motioned toward me. "This man owes you nothing. But your daughter owes him honesty." After a beat, he added, even colder, "Maybe what she really needs is a hard look in the mirror." The gavel struck like a gunshot. Case dismissed, with prejudice. They scrambled to leave. Her father surged ahead, as if he could outrun disgrace. Her mother followed close, heels sharp against the marble floor, knuckles white around the now irrelevant case folder, nails pristine. But the hallway didn't grant them peace. Her mother suddenly lashed out, voice slicing the air. "This is your fault," she snarled at him, all decorum gone. He spun around. "Come again?" "You're the one who taught her she could lie her way out of anything," she said, loud enough to echo. "Don't dump this on me," he snapped. "You've been covering for her every time she screwed up." "I wasn't covering. I was protecting her. Somebody had to step up, since you were always golfing instead of parenting." Their shouting ricocheted off the stone walls. A clerk froze mid-type. Two interns halted in the middle of their stride. People were watching now. "She disgraced us," her mother seethed. "She disgraced this whole family," her father barked back. Then he jabbed a finger toward me. "Not him, her." Her mother turned on me, eyes blazing, finger stabbing like it could draw blood. "This is what you wanted, isn't it? To wreck her? To turn this into a freak show?" I didn't move. You did that all on your own. Her lip curled like she tasted something foul. You're disgusting. I smiled. And you're irrelevant. Before she could fire back, a guard stepped forward. All right, that's enough. Take it outside. Her father didn't wait to be told twice. He barreled through the courthouse doors. Her mother lingered, trembling with fury, still staring at me like she wanted her hatred to leave a mark. But the attention had drifted elsewhere. Finally, she turned and followed him. I stepped into the brisk afternoon air, pushing past the heavy doors, and there she was. Kendra. Leaning against a brick column by the steps, arms crossed, scarf loose around her neck, eyes fixed on mine like she'd been there all along. I stopped. You didn't leave. Figured someone should stick around, she said. I descended the steps, loosened my tie, and let out a breath. That was a train wreck. You were the only one not pretending to be someone else. A smile tugged at my mouth. You caught all of it? She nodded. The theatrics, the look on her dad's face, her mom going full conspiracy theory, and I'm glad you lit the match. We stood there, quiet, while the city moved around us. Horns, hurried footsteps, the buzz of life continuing. Everything kept going, except us. For the first time in months, I felt still. Drink? She offered. You look like you need something stronger than espresso. To be honest, I said, I just want to sit somewhere where no one's pretending to cry or flinging lawsuits. She tilted her head. That might be the weirdest sweet thing I've ever heard. I shrugged. Guess I'm getting weird. She hesitated, then nodded toward the corner. My car's over there. We'll go to mine. I've got whiskey. And quiet. Sounds perfect. We walked side by side. No rush, no contact, just a steady calm after the chaos. I didn't know what came next, but for the first time in a long time, I wasn't bitter or broken. I felt ready. 3 weeks went by. No calls from Valerie, no cryptic messages, no dramatic appearances, just silence. At first, I figured she'd finally moved on, latched onto someone new, or drowned the chaos in wine and therapy. But silence doesn't always mean peace. Sometimes it's just the warning hum before something breaks loose. I didn't ask about her, didn't check social media, didn't think of her. But the universe likes to hand you news whether you ask or not. Kendra was the one who told me. We were curled up on her couch one night, half watching a movie neither of us liked, when her phone lit up. She read the message, stared at it, then handed me the screen. It's from my cousin, she said. She's still somewhat connected to Valerie's group. That was the main point of the message. It explained that Valerie had checked herself into a mental health facility after experiencing a breakdown. Her parents had attempted to keep it quiet. I read the message twice before setting the phone down. No reaction, no smile, no sense of relief, just a long, controlled exhale. She broke down? I asked. Kendra nodded slowly. Another breath. She broke down? I repeated. She nodded again. Apparently, she disappeared for a couple of days. Left her phone behind. Eventually, they found her asleep in her car at a rest stop on the highway, about an hour outside the city. She had no idea how she ended up there. Do you think she's just pretending? Trying to gain sympathy? I asked. Kendra locked eyes with me. No, this was real, the kind of real that's raw and chaotic. Valerie's mom didn't speak to anyone for days. Her dad was busy consulting lawyers, attempting to erase any evidence of what had happened. And Valerie? I think she had finally exhausted the last of the people who would still believe her lies. I stayed silent. After a while, Kendra asked, "Do you feel sorry for her?" I paused before answering. "No," I said quietly. "I don't feel anything." That was the part that surprised me. Not the breakdown, not the quiet aftermath, but the absence of any weight. She had burned everything to the ground, and when it was all reduced to nothing, I found I had nothing left to mourn.